Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here today with my guest, Mr. Themo, who is a former CEO from a technological company and is here to share his story with us and his new book. Welcome.
Hey there, how are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So, Themos, could you kind of get started telling us a little bit about your story and who you were, who you are, and how they've combined?
And who I'm becoming.
That's coming, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a background in corporate America. I was one of those people that, when all the other kids, when you're young, you think about when I grow up, I want to be this, I want to be that. I always wanted to be in business for some reason.
Mhm.
And I don't know why. And somehow my career went that way. And I spent over close to 30 years in corporate America.
Mhm.
And just going up I rose through the corporate ladder and eventually rose to the top and have been in the C-suite for multiple companies, been a board advisor. I've bought and sold companies. So I kind of went up that career path, so to speak. But the last few years, I decided to step away from all of that. And I haven't necessarily exited the business world, but I decided to uh, just play a little bit of a different role in that whole realm. I don't work for anybody. I decided I really don't want to report. Even when you're running a company, at the end of the day, you're reporting to a board. Somebody's pulling some strings. And I decided a few years ago, I don't want to do any of that. And I'm not motivated anymore by that side of things. So I decided to just start helping people one-on-one. And that's where I found something interesting. I found the work, for one thing, very rewarding. And the other thing is, as I started doing this work, I realized that the earlier people are in their business journey and the earlier they are in terms of revenue and the more help they needed, and also the more grounded people I found. So I navigated myself to a certain area, and then after that, I decided, you know what, I've been doing this for a while now. I want to write a book. And I've written other books over the years, although never actually completed one. I have multiple half completed, 3/4 of the way completed books in my bookshelf. But I decided last year, you know what, I really want to do this. I think there is an audience for it. I think there's a need for it. So I decided I'm going to start interviewing people to validate some of my understanding, some of my ideas. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to consider this my full-time job. I'm just going to call people all day long for 3 months in a row. And that's what I did. I became a cold calling person. Every morning I'd go make my coffee, I'd get in front of the phone, and I had committed to myself, I'm going to make minimum X number of calls per day. And I'm going to call owners of businesses, different industries, different levels, and I'm going to see if they're interested in being interviewed. And honestly, I wasn't expecting much. And I was shocked by how many people literally pick up the phone. They're like, yeah, sure, I'll do the interview.
I love
And I
that.
wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it was great. And then the other thing is, when you start hearing these stories, the stories really took on a life of their own, and also helped me navigate into a very specific area. And I was calling different industries, just across the different areas of commerce, different sizes, companies. And eventually I decided, you know what, health and wellness is where I want to focus on. So, I decided to really go after those businesses. So I was talking to chiropractors, meds, health spa owners, people that were therapists, running large practices, running small massage therapies, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, cryotherapy, all of these things. And I found that space to be very interesting for a couple of reasons. One is, I find that people in that career have a lot of passion and a lot of altruistic reasons they start something, but nobody ever teaches them anything about business. Even in the the most prominent medical schools or schools for various professions, they give them a semester of, hey, here's the basics, good luck. And so I thought that was very interesting. That's what led me to call the book From Passion to Profit, because I realized all these people have this passion for something they want to build, and they have no idea how to make it profitable.
Yes.
Not obviously, a lot of people do, but in general, though, I would say they don't. And I realized, yeah, there's a huge gap here. There's a huge opportunity to help people. And also the type of person I was talking to really appealed to me. So because the motivation is completely different.
Yeah.
So you talk to, for instance, I've spent many, many years I'm sorry?
Because you were saying like the passion to purpose, you're talking to people that really have a passion for healing. So it probably makes you want to help them because you're a very heart-centered person. So I know like we
Well,
need that. Yeah.
honestly, passion for anything, even if they have, for instance, I work with a guy who has a passion for building stuff. That's great. But the world I came from, the passion was about, hey, let's make it big and go sell the company and make $100 million. So yes, I don't necessarily call that passion. Whereas this population, what I'm thinking about when I'm talking to these people is they're not looking to make it big. They're looking to, how many people can I help? How can I make a difference? How can I put my own interests into practice? So the whole intention for the business is completely different, and it shows. It shows in the conversations.
For sure. And I love that. Like, and then you know all this business knowledge for all these decades. So you're the perfect person to be able to help the light leaders, light workers, healers that want to, help people, but also be able to buy food kind of thing, So, because
Yeah.
then you also see the chiropractors or the healers that do all this shady stuff where they sell packages to people. And I've heard chiropractors even say, oh, they're not coming, but I sold the packages anyways. And I'm like, how sad to accept money for a service you didn't do. So this is the opposite group of people. You want to help people that are doing their passion. And so the book, I'm so excited for the book. Do you have it in front of you that we can see the cover by any chance? Or do you want to show it at the end?
I do not, but I will pull it
I'll
up at
link it
some
in the
point.
bottom. Yes.
Yeah. Or if you, my website is literally my name.com, themos.com. So the book is on there. But it's actually an interesting topic, because just because you have passion and you want to help people doesn't mean you shouldn't make money. And it's interesting. I talked to a lot of people, actually several business owners in the space would think of, for instance, marketing as the yucky stuff. And the reality is, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with doing marketing. There's nothing wrong with selling. There's nothing wrong with making a living. And I found that that's a very interesting actual aspect of this community, is they have some level of resistance. And I don't necessarily blame people, because there's so much bad stuff in the business world. But it doesn't mean you have to starve.
Yes.
You can actually, the better you are at business, the more people you can help. That's the mind shift I think that people need to make. There are a lot of people that might need your help and they don't even know you exist, because you haven't done the right things from a promotion point of view. And there's good ways to promote yourself, and there's fake ways to promote yourself. So yeah, it's a very interesting area of commerce, of business. And then the other thing is, I think they are completely underappreciated as a community. So you look at, for instance, even in the medical field, some professions make a lot more money than others. You look at massage therapy, for example. The average massage therapist in the US gets a little over minimum wage, just a little over minimum wage. And you're thinking, is that really fair? This is somebody who is creating something that's contributing to society, contributing to somebody's life, and they're barely making a living out of it. So I think there's also some, just, I would say, unfairness in the whole system. So part of my mission is, can I help this community a little bit?
Yes, and I certainly feel you can because you have the experience with the integrity, with the intention, and now the community is people are finding you, right? Like a lot of people you've been working already with a bunch of businesses to help them because I've been talking to you, so I know. So that's wonderful. God has already
Yeah.
selected you for this. Yeah, it's wonderful. That's wonderful.
We'll see. I keep getting moved around to different things. So
Okay, well, maybe you'll do multiple projects, and
this
think.
is this is what I've been asked to do right now. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But I love the idea of like, yeah, like
Yeah.
let's step out like selling $1 billion corporate business and everybody goes and gets, steaks and gets fatter versus like a
Yeah.
healing company that makes money but also heals people. And myself, I do everything. I let people pay what they can. So some people pay more, some people pay less. And yes, there is some
Mm,
challenges with that, obviously. But like you said, like if we're
yeah.
marketing and more people are coming, it seems to somehow work out kind of thing and probably lots of other things that you have in the book for all the advice that you have because I haven't had a chance to read your book. I'm so excited to read it, actually. So,
Yeah, honestly, I tried to make it very practical and very easy to read. This is a world where there's a lot of
mhm.
knowledge and a lot of boring stuff. Honestly, there's nothing more boring than reading a business book. So one of my tasks was how do I make it very accessible for people? So you'll see when you get it, it's very simple to read, very easy to read, and the concepts are very simple, but they're based on the concepts that all the big companies use. And I came from the world where we would buy. I've worked on 15 different acquisitions. You buy a company, you go in, and you make it hum. Well, what are the things you do to make it hum? Well, there is a formula for that, and these people that run these big companies, they are all following a formula. So
Mhm.
why aren't we teaching that in schools for people? Well,
Yeah, why aren't
they're
we
very
teaching little kids how to be entrepreneurs, right? Like in middle school, they could learn entrepreneurial things instead of all this
yes,
nonsense they're never going to remember, like dissecting frogs, get the heck out of here. You know?
yeah,
So yeah, but why aren't they teaching it? We know the real reason because they want people to be slaves. They don't want people to be free. And these
yep,
corporations are the arms of the evil giants, right? The corporations are the way people have to work 9 to 5, right? They can't leave, so they're kind of stuck to mortgage. But what you're
right.
saying is like there's another way you can have your own business, you can be of service, you can make a profit and kind of leave these evil corporations. I have yet to meet a corporation that's not evil. When I do, I will acknowledge them. But so far, whenever I've worked for a
Yep.
corporation, it seems like they all just let go of employees all the time. So it's very sad to me that they can let go of people that have families and things like that. I remember you were sad about it years ago. You were telling me like all these companies were letting people go, and I know you
You know,
care.
the reality is we live in a certain society right now that expects certain things, and as a business owner, you have to do certain things to survive.
Mm,
So cutting costs is unfortunately a name of the game depending on certain situations. There's going to be a time the economy goes up and down. You look at what happened the last few years with lockdowns. A lot of people in medical really suffered during those years because they couldn't see patients one-on-one. So the reality is economy goes up and down, situations go up and down, and you have to adjust. And even letting people go, there is an unfortunate reality in
mm,
some situations you have to let go, but there's a right way to do it and there's the wrong way to do it.
exactly.
The wrong way to do it, and I've seen both, and I've been involved in both myself.
Mm,
The wrong way to do it is a very clinical. You come to work one day and you get shuffled into a room that you're given a folder and they say, okay, you can't even go back to your desk. We'll put everything in a box and give it to you. There's better ways you can do that, and there's better conversations you can have with people. I've unfortunately, because I've been in this world over the years, I've had to be in situations where I've let people go. And interestingly, one of the first reactions people have is, what did I do wrong? Well, a lot of times businesses make changes not because the individual did anything wrong, but because the business dynamics are such. But why not make that part of the conversation with people? That, hey, we love having whatever, right? There's every situation, there's a good way to right way to do it. and a wrong way to do it. And on the business world, unfortunately, there's a lot of these conversations that you need to have, a lot of these topics where there's a good way to do it and a not so good way to do it. Sales and marketing. Like I said earlier, a lot of people in this community are very against doing any kind of sales and marketing. They consider it to be uninteresting or repulsive. And there's a right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. So I'm advocating that you can be successful, you can put your name out there, you can attract customers and the right customers, and you can do it in the right way.
Mhm.
There's
Absolutely.
definitely a right way to do it.
That makes perfect sense. You can do something with integrity and kindness and honor, or you can do it shady underground, just thinking about profits. So yeah,
Right.
I love that. I love that. So are those some of the things that are in the book? Like, can you talk about some of the things you go into in the book if you like, or do you want to kind of have people surprised, maybe a couple of topics?
Sure, I'd be happy. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. I'll tell you the core premise of it. And yes, I do give examples, and actually at least half of my examples in the book are from health and wellness. So if I had an opportunity to talk about an example from chiropractic, or an example from a med spa, or an example from somebody who's selling supplements or something like that. So I tried to bring some of those practical examples, but at the high level, the key of it, if you think about, again, what is this formula that the big businesses use? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have 1,000 customers a year and they each spend $100 with you. So that's $100,000
Mhm.
in revenue, right? 1,000 customers times 100 is 100,000. So let's say I gave you some strategies for how to increase each of these numbers by 10%. So 1,000 customers becomes 1,100, and $100 a year becomes 110. So now your revenue becomes 121,000. So while I increased each of these two numbers by 10%, the total, because of compounding, increased by 21%. So the reality is that through business, there are all of these numbers that compound. And if you increase this a little, increase this a little, increase this a little, increase this a little, overall, that's how you generate growth. And that's really when big businesses go in there and do transformation, for example. That's all they're doing. They're going in, they're fixing all of those there's actually 7 or 8 levers, as I call them. So if you increase 10% across 7 different things in a year, you can double the business. And granted, it's not easy. So that's really where I start. I start at here's the power of compounding. Here's the 7 things you really need to go address, and here's some strategies for how to do it. And some work for some businesses, some work for others. But that's really at the heart of it. It's as simple as that. It's not too complicated. And then throughout the book, I give different examples about how to think through things and just various strategies and tactics for each of those 7 levers. So that's really the gist of it.
I love that. I love that you kept it simple, because you're right. Like sometimes I read a business book,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand anything here, So, but this book, this makes sense to me. It's like, do what you're already doing, just make little tweaks. Because like you said, a lot of people that are in this healthcare field, a lot of them really do have passion. They just want to heal people. God has given them
Right.
healing gifts, I believe, to heal people. So yeah, these little tweaks, and then I love that.
It's little tweaks on the right things.
Mm.
So I think the most important thing is knowing what the right things are. Right now, the big hot thing is going and buying ads. So everybody's trying to get you to do ad spend and buy an ad on Facebook and buy an ad on Instagram and buy an ad on LinkedIn. And I talk in the book why that doesn't work. And if you are going to do it, how to at least capitalize it. So it's not just a matter of making little tweaks, it's knowing what to tweak. So
Yeah.
that know-how of the things you should be working on.
Yes.
And yeah, it is actually not rocket science. It's just a matter of teaching people the right things they really should be working on.
Well, all the years of experience you've had, you've been able to concise it into simplicity. And I think Einstein said, if you don't understand something simple enough to explain it simply, you don't understand it. So this shows me that you've gained all those years of experience, you've condensed it into these points, and that's exactly what we need, is people that kind of can do that. So each of us, our little problems can be solved by one of our experiences, essentially, so that's really great. Yes. Do you
Yeah,
want to talk
definitely.
about
And
in terms of the future vision you have for the commerce? Like, let's say we do make the world better, if we do happen to
yeah,
all unite through all this. What do you want to share on that? What you see for like the future?
honestly, right now, I believe things are very, very upside down in the business world and in society in general. I think people are valuing the wrong things.
Mm,
I think there is a ton of misinformation about everything, really. There's a ton of misinformation out there. And even this whole world of businesses, there's a lot of things happening that I don't necessarily agree with. So I've always thought about, well, how do you help? What can you do to really help in this area? And there's so many problems, honestly. There's so many things broken that sometimes I wonder, can we really fix this thing? So I'm thinking if everybody can do a little something, then that helps. So I'll give you an example. Why health and wellness? I spent over 10 years running software companies. I understand that world very well. And I can also go and make a lot of money in that world. But at the same time, okay, all right, fine, then what? So, and who are you really helping other than the investors? You're going in there, buying something, making it better, and then they're selling it and they're making an income and they're making some profit. But at the end of the day, are you really making anything better?
mm,
Whereas if you look at health and wellness, so the health and wellness industry has over 1.5 million practices in the US and Canada. And they are barely surviving, a lot of these businesses. So, and there's a lot of political reasons for that, a lot of higher order kind of energetic things happening there. But one of the ways you help this industry, let's say you help health and wellness do better marketing and improve their products and improve their services, improve their go-to-market, and be able to now service more customers. That means more people in the world know that this service exists. There's so many people that don't even know what acupuncture
mm,
does, for example. There's so many people that have never been to a Chinese herbal medicine or they haven't been with somebody. So how many people have actually are even aware of the services you give to people? So there's all of these pockets of people that have the resources, the ability to help, and they're not reaching enough people.
mhm. Exactly.
So can you imagine the benefit of now taking this whole community and saying, hey, you can do better. You can reach more people. You could potentially improve your ability to see more people, let more people know you exist, let them know about your services. So yes, these businesses make a little bit more money, but now you're actually touching the whole country.
Exactly.
Because more people are consuming these services, more people are coming to people like you, more people are going to chiropractors and acupuncturists and massage therapies and wellness spas and retreats. And so that's got to help. That's got to help.
Yeah, exactly. And like, because if everybody heals, then all of our vibration will rise. And apparently, back in the day in Atlantis or whatever, the vibration didn't rise, or the vibration of people did rise, but then they left the planet. But apparently, this time the plan is we all heal, we raise our vibration, like David Hawkins said, and we all stay. That amount of light. So exactly what you're saying is exactly it. More light workers, reaching more people, everybody healing, and then we will kind of just burn the bugs on the planet, but it's
Yeah.
a long way and it's a long to go. So we can simplify it, but at least we have some
Yep.
roadmap in one aspect, which is how healers reach more people. How do we heal the planet? Well, you have to know how to run a business ethically, right?
Among other things, because right now, whether we like it or not, the world is being run by businesses. It's not being run by politicians, it's being run by corporate.
Yeah,
So until that game changes, it helps for us to learn how to play in it.
exactly. Yeah. And we can still do it with integrity, and we don't
Right.
have to become like them, but we can still learn the good things, because evil has lots of good things we can learn from them too. And you're right, we have to do that. Otherwise, they're going to just take over the whole world, which is what they've done, essentially.
Right.
So, yes, yes. How do you think we could end evil? On another topic, since the corporations,
How do we end evil?
how do we end evil in our world? Just a question, recent question I'm asking.
Oh my God. I don't know that I am qualified to answer that, although I have a lot of interest in answering that and participating in that.
Mm,
So I think part of it has to do with what we just talked about, and part of it has to do with not participating.
mhm. Like
And I
removing
mean, not
our money from
participating.
the corporations kind of thing, not
I'm
buying their,
sorry.
you mean like not participating in terms of not buying the corporate products as much as we can? Or when you say not participating, you mean,
Well, you talked about evil, right? So evil can be defined as different things. There's different extremes of evil, and I don't want to get into those. But you hear people say, "Oh, I don't want to. My job is very stressful. My boss is a sociopath. The
mm,
environment is toxic." Well, that's a form of evil,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
you could argue, right?
Yes.
So don't participate. Go get another job. The problem is people will say, "Well, I have family, and I understand all those things, but you're also, in a sense, you're participating in the system." So if you really want to end evil, it'll take everybody making these little choices, I think, and these little choices will compound. And
Exactly.
it's little things, you know. I don't know what the language restrictions on your podcast are, but I would say don't be an ass, right? You drive on the road, and I live in Miami, and I can tell you, I routinely pull my hair. I don't. That's why I keep it short, because I pull my hair when I drive here, because there's so many inconsiderate people. There's so many aggressive, obnoxious people. They'll cut you off. They don't care about anything.
Mhm,
So don't be that.
mhm.
Don't be that.
Yeah.
Little choices we can make really help. Little choices we can make. So I don't know that answers your question. There's obviously, we have to fix education, we have to fix parenting,
The
we have to
healthcare
fix
system.
healthcare. Oh my God, yes, big
I've
issue.
been
We have
thinking
to,
how much I want to just take down the whole healthcare system with my family member in it, and so just I've been thinking like how many people are getting hurt
yes,
by medical negligence, and how it's not even the doctor's fault. It's like the administration of the hospital, but really it's the insurance companies. I had a doctor say to me, I can't order that very important test you're asking for, even though I know this person needs it, because the insurance doesn't.
yeah,
Like the insurance company doesn't have a medical degree, any kind of license. Why are they
yeah.
determining medicine? So insurance companies, corporations, the evil tech, we have a lot of evils to take down, which I know they will go because a lot of things will get exposed. But I love like us being productive and us working on our own project, like building our wellnesses as we let all these systems basically crumble themselves. Because I think a lot of it will
Right.
come to light. So
So going back, you mentioned something about doctors, and I will say a lot of doctors know the situation and they choose to participate. So going back to my comment earlier, if you want to do your part, don't participate. So if you know a treatment doesn't work, if you have a treatment in front of you that you know for a fact has 97% failure rate, don't prescribe it. If you don't have anything else to do, don't take the patient.
exactly.
Change your career, do whatever you need to do. But by saying, well, I kind of like my high-end position, and I kind of like wearing this white coat and becoming an authority, you're participating and you're being part of the situation. So do you really want to help or not? Because it's a lot of times it's easy for the medical community to say, well, I went to my uh, yoga class, I'm fine, I'm good.
Yeah,
In the meantime, you just prescribed 20 things that have zero benefit. And
exactly.
if you want to go and help and you're the medical profession, please go and study the placebo effect.
Mm.
Why don't we teach that in medical school? There's a lot, I mean, honestly, there's so many problems in
I
society
know. I know.
that you and I, well, I don't know, but I don't know that I'm going to fix all these problems. I'm finding these little areas where I can have some influence. And if everybody does that, then I think through the power of numbers. So going back to health and wellness, if you can show more people that there is different methods of treatment, there is the traditional methods, there's non-traditional, there's just by educating them that, hey, you have options out there. And
Exactly.
some work, this model is better. You broke a bone. Okay, go get a cast. Sure. There's whatever. There's some things that the traditional method is perfect at, and there's some other things that there's other methods that are perfect for it. So just by educating people, making more resources available, letting people know you're in the community and you can help them with this, you can help them with that. I think all of these things actually help make a shift. Yeah.
I think so too. I think you're right. Like sometimes it's hard to see it, but when we look at the picture right now, the whole world is like, whoa, what a mess. But apparently there's 300 million star seeds on the planet. There's 4 billion on the outside. There's all kinds of invisible help too. So not that they're going to do it for us. We still are like the ones that are going to be the change. But like you said, if you do the business aspect and I do the healing aspect and somebody else works on, the energy aspect and somebody works on education, and the people that follow, all the light workers, they all have different interests, different gifts. So yeah, I really do think it's going to happen. I think the darkness
Honestly,
is scared. Yeah.
I don't know if they're scared yet. They're definitely out at full force right now, more than I've ever seen in my life. But again, focus on the things you can control.
Exactly.
Simple things like you see my guitar. So music has been a big part of my life. Go look at the lyrics. The lyrics of most commercial music are awful.
Exactly.
And lyrics are a form of programming.
Exactly.
So you're in that industry, pay attention. I'm sorry?
That's a great topic. The music industry and they hypnotize because you understand music
Yeah.
and notes and hertz. And yeah, a lot of the way to control the population is through music, right? Like even, and then
Yeah.
when singers talk about the wrong topic, they kill them. Like they killed Prince, they called Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson said, they don't care about us. And then they're like, yep, you're out, so it's kind of,
Right.
music industry, but the music can also be very healing, right? So it's like the healing aspect of music and then the hypnosis aspect of music. And that's why they say it's spelling, because when you sing a song to someone, you can
Yeah.
literally put a spell on them.
Yeah, that's what spelling is. Yeah, definitely. So again, going back to the comment of don't participate, if you're listening to something and you don't agree with the lyrics, even if it's a catchy song, stop listening to it. Because all you have to do is spend half an hour looking at, take the top 10 music right now in pop music, go and look at the lyrics, you'll see that most of them are not good for you.
Exactly.
So they're catchy and our friends are singing them and we go to parties and the clubs and the restaurants and they're playing them. So they're constantly exposing us to them. But at the end of the day, is it good for you? And do you have a choice? Yeah, you have a choice. There's 1,000 things you could be listening to.
Exactly.
So I think personal choice is what's gonna help.
Exactly. And like you said, kind of like the darkness right now is at an all-time high. Like a lot of people I know are dealing with different things. But yeah, like we
Yeah.
have a choice over whether we meditate that morning. We have a choice over what music we listen to. We have a choice over who we watch on YouTube. Like people have a choice to get your book and it could be the starting point. I'm not trying to like, but it could change everything for them, right? So it's like every moment, every day we have
Right.
opportunities. And then, yeah, but the darkness is going to be trying to trick us, and they usually will enter us through our fears, right? And they hypnotize us through TV, and then they kind of, so there's a lot of different things they're doing. But like you said, if we're not participating, they won't be able to hypnotize us if we're not watching things or listening to things they're trying to use to hypnotize us with.
Right. And the one area where this darkness, so to speak, is very present is in the business world.
Mhm.
So there are definitely lots of uh, really tough decisions to make morally. There's tough ethical decisions. There's lots of hidden dangers all over the place.
Mhm.
The business world is very advanced and very treacherous, I believe.
Yes. Would you share more on that? Because it's kind of like survival, right? It's kind of like the idea of survival of the fittest versus community all surviving. And it's become more survival of the fittest, obviously, right?
Well, it also plays into some of the very powerful emotions like greed. And I've seen greed change people overnight.
Wow.
And you see somebody who all of a sudden they were excited about starting a company and they did the right things, and all of a sudden the company is now big enough. And somebody comes in and says, here's $10 million, sell me the company. That person changes overnight. I've seen it so many times.
How do they change?
So,
What have you seen when people suddenly get a bunch of money? Like, how does their ego suddenly become a super ego, or like what happens to them? Yeah.
uh, I don't know that I've psychoanalyzed it per se, but I would say there's tangible changes that I've seen in people close to me that have made a lot of money. And also business partners and clients that I've had that you can see it changes their personality, their behavior. I have heard it's actually a very interesting experience expression in the business world. And again, are we allowed to curse on your show?
Yes. I say
Okay,
F, I say fuck all the time because like, sometimes it's like
okay,
that's a
good.
fucked up situation, right? You have to say
Thank
the
you.
word sometimes.
Because I do a lot of
Doesn't like it,
podcasts.
sorry.
Okay, good. So here's an expression I have heard multiple times. When somebody makes it to that level, they say, "Oh, I now have fuck you money." Why
Mm,
does this expression even exist?
exactly.
Why don't you have thank you money? Why do you have fuck you money?
Exactly.
I'm not joking. I've heard that from people right in front of me who have just sold their company. Like, yeah, I have fuck you money now. I can just disregard everybody, do my own thing.
Mm,
I don't have to wait in line. I don't have. So it's very interesting because you see that change in people pretty quickly. And then the other thing is now you are the people that have made the money, they change, but then you have all the people that are trying to make the money.
mhm,
And you see people stepping all over everybody all the time.
mhm.
And it shows up in the way contracts are written, and it shows up in the way deals are done. And there's just so much heaviness around this world, this business world, that up for last few years, I've had a couple of clients who have made it to the next level, and they're dealing with investors and committees
Mm.
and private equity and all of that. And part of my job is to guide them and say, hey, big pothole coming up, or hey, there's fine print here, or hey, this is what they're telling you, this is what they're thinking. So there's a lot of that in the business world that you just have to have eyes wide open.
Yeah. And see, and that's exactly like that's why I love your message, because like you've been in that darkness and you've come out of it, and you do believe in higher good power. So you do have that pure heart. And exactly, it's kind of like that jaguar medicine, right? It's kind of like a jaguar goes into the underworld and other people don't see in the dark. Jaguar is one of the animals that sees in the dark, right? So
Hmm.
and this kind of contract, like I wouldn't even think to look at those things, right? I'd be like, oh, this person, I would just assume the good kind of thing. But as you said, like there's kind of these
Right.
snake energies and not good snakes. There's good snakes and there's bad snake energies of people that are just kind of slimy, right? And so does your book talk about that? Like how we can know if maybe that could be another book. Like how do we know when it's
No,
like a not good business deal or something like that?
I have not put that stuff in a book. I've thought about writing a second edition to talk about bigger businesses, because this book is really focusing on, again, I really wanted to make it very accessible to the small business owner. So these are people that are making $200,000 a year, $2 million a year, 5 million. I mean, it's this pretty small range, and their problems are pretty very specific. Now, if you're doing $100 million a year and you have 20 different products and selling internationally and 20 different investors and a board of directors then that's where you need all of that kind of
That
all of
makes
those conversations.
But what a
honestly,
great person to have on their side, you know? Like I would love to have, if I had a business like that, I definitely would want your advice on my side. So yes.
well, really, the moment you go from privately owned to either selling or raising capital,
Mhm.
that's when the guards are needed.
Mhm.
Because you're now entering a different
Mhm.
realm with very sophisticated system. And honestly, I don't want to say it's a bad system, but you just have to understand who benefits and how it works. And that's really when those issues pop up, is when you start dealing with external people. It's actually another reason why I like this whole small business community, is because for the most part, it's people like you, it's people like your next door neighbor who runs a lawnmower, business. It's the local flower shop. Is those
Mhm.
businesses are, yes, they're dealing with issues, but there's such a different intent, such a different energy around them. It's it's so much more, even for me, honestly, it's so much more pleasant to work with this community than have to get on these calls and have to talk about, well, your investors are getting ready to screw you, heads up.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
little bit more pleasant for me.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like you're dealing with like people that have a hope and a passion and want to help humanity versus people that
Yeah.
are like, how do I make extra $1 million to buy an extra yacht? And it's like, no matter how many yachts you buy, you won't love yourself. Hello, just love yourself without the yacht. But it's like so really the most miserable people in our world are running our world, kind of we can say that, because if they were truly happy, they would be giving their money away, a lot of those billionaires, and they would still have enough kind of thing. But so anyways, but I do love this. I think this is going to make a big impact. And God, that's how God works. God will pick one person, prepare them, and then he will allow them to impact, to rise all of his children. So I'm very happy the book is out.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm excited for the second one. Is there any messages that you feel guided to share with the healer community, like people that have, maybe they have a business they've started, or people that want to start? I have clients that work for a corporation, they want to start a healing practice, and get out of the matrix. Like, is there any messages you have for the people that are either in it or getting ready to leave, or the ones that have left, that anything you feel guided to share?
Uh, I guess I haven't really thought about this question, but I would say for the people that are looking to get into a small business, I do think it is a great place to be. I've spent so many years in corporate America and seen that side of things. And I know a lot of people personally who are sick and tired of that environment, and they want to start something. And yeah, there's the people that want to start something because they want to become gazillionaires, but a lot of people just want to have control of their lives, and they want to work on something they enjoy, and they don't need to answer to 20 different people and be jerked around every time they go to the office. So I'm saying I'm all for it. I love small businesses. I love the idea of them. You can make a pretty decent living in a lot of small businesses, and people don't even realize that. I Honestly, when I was doing interviews, I ran into so many of these cases. I ran into a guy who he's out of Milwaukee. I can't remember his name right now, but I interviewed him, and he was an accountant. He used to work for one of these big five accounting firms, and he wanted to just do his own thing. So he decided to open a cryotherapy center. And
Mm.
he went, figured it out on his own, got a little cash, bought a few cryo beds, built a business. He's doing amazing.
Mm.
And he just followed his passion. Granted, you also need to know what you're doing, because there's a lot of people that want to start business and they don't necessarily know what's the right way to do it. When do I jump? How quickly do I jump? So I don't want to say it's available for everybody. It does take a certain amount of work, dedication, certain character, but I'm definitely all for small businesses. I have people reaching out. I do these seminars almost once a month with this a community of executives, and I routinely have people asking me, hey, I have this option. I can go work in this big company, be a CEO, run this, but I'm also thinking of doing this other thing. So I always have them really look at the pros and cons of being independent and making your own decisions and growing something, serving the local community. And I know I'm kind of going against the grain here because we have all these mega businesses that are running the world, but I still believe the small businesses is where it's at. Quality is better, customer service is better, customer experience is better. So yeah, I'm a big fan. If you're thinking about it, definitely entertain the idea. Just make sure you study up, get the right things in place to do it right. It is hard work. I'm not going to lie. Most small businesses die in the first 5 years. Part of the reason is they don't know what they're doing, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just there's some know-how that goes into running a business. And I would say for the people that are in it, especially in health and wellness, you can continue to grow. I think there's a tremendous amount of demand for what this industry provides right now because everybody's stressed out of their minds. We talked about the darkness out there in society. There's nobody having fun right now. Nobody's having fun. You said the rich people are not necessarily happy. Well, nobody's happy right now. And the part of the reason is because the society is so upside down right now, it's creating a tremendous amount of stress. So that means people, your neighbors, your family members, everybody needs a little help. Everybody could use a massage therapy. Everybody can use a healing. Everybody can use this. Everybody can use that. So I'd say go out there and sell those services. There's a tremendous demand for them.
And it'll help make the world better. So it's like, it's not that you're just selling, you're basically saying, hey, I can help your heart feel better. And then maybe you can,
Yep.
like that kind of thing. So I love that. And was something else that came to me to ask you, but what, like, so maybe we can talk about this another time if it's not enough time, but what's the difference between selling yourself with integrity versus like shady selling? I guess, like, how would people differentiate like how they present themselves? Because sometimes light workers are like, I don't want to make people buy things because you don't want to manipulate, right? We want people to choose who, that kind of thing.
It's a very simple answer. If you don't want to manipulate them, don't. So meaning be honest. Honesty is hey, by the way, here's the example. I run a massage therapy and I also have a massage oil or aromatherapy you could take with you on the go. You can either force it down their throats and say, well, here's my products, or you can tell them, hey, you have this condition, there's tons of products out there, you can buy mine, don't buy mine, but I do think you could use something like that. If you're doing it with integrity because you really think, yeah, this person can use that. It could also be the opposite. They can come to you and say, for your condition, massage might not be the right thing. You may need to go to a PT.
Exactly.
You just lost a customer, but in a way you actually didn't. You actually gained a customer because you've now shown integrity. You actually care about their well-being more than just making a sale. So
Exactly.
there's all of these little examples that I think exist in our everyday. So if you're doing marketing, don't market things that you don't have. I talk in my book about on the sales side, don't sell something the person doesn't want or need. There is a specific section on that in the book because a lot of people look, sales is an emotional decision. Sales preys on, not
But yeah,
preys, but manipulates people's emotions and needs. You can easily get somebody to buy something through various sales tactics that they're not really sure about. They might be on the fence or they're still evaluating, but you have this concept of, and I talk about these things in the book just to educate people. You have the concept of obsolescence, or you have this concept of urgency or limited inventory. So they're creating all of these stress situations to make a sale. So I am against using this system to manipulate people to make a decision they don't want. I am for these things if you're helping them make a decision they do want. So a lot of times people need to be educated, customers, patients need to be educated, and they don't know. They might look, somebody might come to you, and let's say you're doing, I don't know, acupuncture, and they come in because they have back problems. At least half of the acupuncture visits are tied to back problems.
Mhm.
But guess what? Acupuncture can also help with allergies.
Mhm.
So is it disingenuous to tell your back problem patient that, hey, by the way, I noticed you are sneezing. Have you thought about blah, blah, blah? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Mhm.
In a strategy point of view, you could consider that to be cross-selling.
Mhm.
Okay. But the point is, you've noticed the problem, you think you have a solution, you're not doing anything wrong here. You're literally suggesting that, hey, I might be able to help you in other things.
Mhm.
But if you're just doing it randomly, somebody comes in and you're pushing 10 different things on them and trying to maximize the sale, and
Right.
honestly, they don't even work long term because you leave a bad impression, you get them to buy something they didn't really want. And then 2 months from now, when their knee hurts and they're thinking, I need to go to an acupuncturist, they're not going to come to you because they're going to be like, yeah, he's the guy that pushed me to buy these 5 things that I don't need.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of this stuff is common sense.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah, it's like if you are working on them and you notice something else, be like, hey, I noticed this thing. If you like, there's this available, and more of like a free them versus like I've had healers tell me like if you don't get this, you will have all these issues. And they've had like, but if it's chiropractors or different
Yeah,
healers tried, and I'm just like, whoa, like, and it was like, I was like, wow, how out of integrity to do that to people when they're sick, you know? So I'm very aware, like when people come to my office, I'm like,
yeah,
they're dealing with challenges. They might tell me they want all these things, but I just tell them, let's slow down, just start with one, they know that kind of thing. So I do think we're responsible. And I think God does judge us
yeah,
based on those kind of things, or our own soul, whatever you want to call it. But then you're right. It's like, but if we don't say it, we're also being disingenuous. Like if I
right.
notice something on someone and I ignore it, then that's also out of integrity, right? Yeah. So very well
Yeah,
said. Very
definitely.
well said. Thank you so much. Is there any finishing messages that you like to share? I would love to have you play for us. Maybe another time you can come on and play for us.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I guess the last parting thoughts are thank you for inviting me, but also just thank you for the work you do, because you are in an area that a lot of people don't know about, but it's very much a need, especially like we talked about all the darkness out there. There is a lot of levels that we need to be helping on.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. The darkness out there is kind of
Yeah,
like exactly like it's kind of like coming at each of us a different way. And there's so many different kinds of demons and ETs. And now I'm hearing that AI and demons are connected. So apparently, like it's feeding on our energy, then it's giving to the demons, and it's going some kind of an AI hive. So yeah, it's like I feel like we all need to have each other's back. And I was even saying in the last interviews, like if something happens to you or us, like it's like we should all reach out to each other instead of trying to deal with whatever comes up alone. Because that's what I felt God say to me 2 weeks ago. He said, no more doing things alone. I want all of you guys, whenever something happens to one of you, all of you to help. So,
yeah,
so I think that's what's going to be, because we're all like super powerful together. But and the demons kind of go for each of our weaknesses. We all have some kind of a trauma or a weakness from this lifetime or another time. But I think we can have each other's back. So I so appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you always being such a good brother to me, your family, and I love your whole family. You guys are wonderful human beings. So thank you for being here today. And I'm excited to post this interview for everybody to see. And I'll put your
great.
book in the bottom. If it's in front of you, you want to show us, you're welcome to. But if it's not in front of you, I'll put the link in the bottom so everybody can see it
It
anyway.
is It is actually not in front of me.
Okay.
It is somewhere on some bookshelf, and I have a bunch of them. But I will send you the link on the
Perfect.
website.
Perfect. Thank you so
Great.
much, Amo. So good
Thank you
to
very
see
much.
you. Thank you for the work you're doing. I'm so excited for everybody to get your
Likewise.
book. So thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.